I'm live! Okay, guys. I was having a little technical difficulties there. Did you like my thumbnail? With the Snapchat horns? They were actually antlers, not horns. Not a super important distinction. I am just heading out to some calls, but I had this super cool dehorning case yesterday, so I wanted to just share my tips and tricks and thoughts on dehorning. This is dehorning cows. So when it comes to dehorning, the best possible method of dehorning is not having horns at all. There's a lot of really great polled genetics out there. So polled meaning not horned. You can have animals that are heterozygous for the polled trait, and they are also homozygous for the polled trait as well, that you can implement and start in your breeding herds that will decrease the total number of horned animals you have. So little baby calves, when they're born, after a few days you can start feel that little horn bud, and then usually around 2 to 3 months, that's when that horn bud attaches to the skull and then out grows a horn. So the best way to dehorn is with genetics by far and away. The next best method, I guess, and now we're talking about some animal welfare issues, just the stress. Do you not see me live? Do you guys see me? Sorry, I was driving, so I'm not reading my thing. It says, when's he going live? From Allison at 12:04. I am live. Tell me you guys can see me. Am I just talking to myself? Okay, I'm good. All right, so the next thing when we're talking about dehorning is there's a huge welfare implication, and that's why I always promote polled genetics. We just shouldn't be getting horned animals, but that said, we have to deal within the system and the cards that we're dealt with, so we have to deal with horned animals from time to time. And how is that best taken care of? So the best way it's taken care of is dealing with those animals when they're young. It's a smaller horn base to have to remove. There's less complications. Those animals heal better. They do still feel pain the same. A younger animal feels pain just the same as an older animal, but if we reduce the amount of trauma we have to cause when we do a surgery or horn removal, the better. So one of my favorite methods is using a combination of a hot iron and a local anesthetic. So doing a coronal nerve block or a ring block where we're providing lidocaine into the animal's base of their horn. So you basically anesthetize their horn, and then just using have you seen they're like branding irons, but they're circles, and what happens is you burn the horn forming tissue around that horn, and it disbuds them or dehorns them. That is a really good method. It's a little bit technical. You can't leave that hot iron on there for very long because it can cause some damage to the bone, but when done properly, that's probably my next favorite method, just in terms of animal welfare. They're not feeling any pain because we're using the local anesthetic. My next favorite is using the dehorning paste, and the only reason dehorning paste didn't win first is just because sometimes dehorning paste can be very difficult to use. It's got a learning curve with it, and especially in wetter environments, sometimes you can get that dehorning paste that runs down the side of the face and can cause some secondary issues. So what dehorning paste is a really caustic paste. I think it's really basic, like a 9 pH or higher maybe, that kills that tissue. So basically you put that dehorning paste over the horn bud, and after a few days the cells are destroyed and that animal can no longer get or grow horns anymore. But yeah, if it's really rainy, it just doesn't work great, and I'm always scared that they're gonna get it in their eyes. So it really just works in dry environments. Plus I'm always scared mom's gonna lick their little heads off, which I don't like. The next favorite, this isn't favorite at all. This is just what has to get done. So sometimes the horns are quite large, and we cannot use the cauterizer. We have to actually use scoops or dehorning wire, where we're actually physically cutting that horn off of the animal's head. None of those are pretty. There is complication rates associated with all of them. You can get sinusitis or infection of the sinus if those horns are big enough. There can be quite a bit of hemorrhage because those horns are highly vascularized. I guess in general, and this is what happened with this bull yesterday. So this was a bucking bull, like a PBR bucking bull that was really high quality, but he had what's known as banana horns. So he had these great big banana horns that he had caught, and he actually had an infection, and the producer was just, he was worried he was going to lose this animal secondary to infection. So he went ahead and called me to do the dehorning. And the banana horns are interesting because they start growing in early life straight up in the air like this, but then they lose this attachment, and I don't know why. They lose attachment and they start growing down like this, and they're floppy. So sometimes when you're watching bull riding, you'll see an animal that's bucking and his horns are like flopping and not strong. This is what this guy had. So in that case, I did a full sedation. So he was sedated standing in the chute using using xylazine, and then I did a lidocaine block. So I did a corneal nerve block, which is right there, instilling lidocaine that blocks the nerve going to the horn, and I also did a circumferential ring block. So that horn, he could not feel anything when I went to go cut it off. And with the banana horn, I was able to just dehorn. This horn was like this big around, it was like this long, and I was able to just with my scalpel cut through because there's not a hard bony attachment. Then on the other side, he had a great big banana horn, but it wasn't broken, it wasn't as floppy. So what he wanted was for me to dehorn it just with the dehorning wires. Think of like piano. What? That's the worst comment in the world. How am I supposed to talk when somebody comments like that? Oh my goodness, you guys. YouTube is the worst sometimes. Facebook, it's such a positive environment. I'm sorry, I'm getting off of my dehorning track, but that comment threw me off. Facebook is so positive. It's like a community of vet students and veterinarians and farmers that just always have the nicest comments, but sometimes you guys on YouTube are just so mean. I'm gonna have to block this guy. Oh, you guys are the worst. Most of you are the best. Okay, I'm gonna try to finish this before I look at any more comments. So then I just used the dehorning wire to cut the horn off kind of halfway down. I provided the animal with antibiotic because he did have a bit of infection around his horn. We gave him Ivamex so then he would not have any he wouldn't have any flies around the horn base while he was trying to heal up. So I gave him antibiotic, anti-fly stuff, and an anti-inflammatory. So we gave him a painkiller that'll last 3 days. Even though his horns were frozen, I still like to provide an anti-inflammatory, and then he was done. So that's dehorning in short. I'll read through a few comments and then I will get off of here. This guy. John, you ruined my entire live stream. What's the anti-fly stuff I used? William, I just used Ivamec. It has, oh, I'm sorry, my finger's in the way. I used Ivamec. It has 30 days of fly control. Pour on Ivamec lasts 30 days for controlling most species of flies. Gigi says, very interesting. She loves my videos. Thank you. 406 Cummins, great info, Cody. Watch every video. Faith asks, I like how you make sure the animals don't feel pain. My #1 guiding principle in everything that I do in vet medicine is if it was happening to me, what would I want? Like with an abscess, lots of people will just like stab an abscess with a jackknife. If I had a big abscess on my arm, you better be sterilizing and you better be freezing me. So yeah, that's just what I always ask. Let's see the dehorning video. I did not record the dehorning video. It was a new client. I just didn't feel comfortable asking if I could. I wish you guys could see all of the stuff that I do that I don't video, because that's usually the good stuff. Like the other day, we did full CPR on a calf. He died. He was legit dead. No heartbeat, not breathing, eyes glazed over, and we started CPR and we brought him back. He died like 15 minutes later, but it was still would have made great teaching material for you guys. So I'm sorry you don't get to see everything. I don't see any more questions. Just a lot of thanks. No. Okay guys, I'm gonna end it there. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll read through and I'll try to answer as many as possible. Thank you, Palpation Nation, and we will see you next time.